Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful Overbooked. The weekend starts now, so it must be time to talk about the news. Let's go. It's Newsworthy. I'm here with Jeremy Lambert, as I always am. We got all of our favorites here today on Overbooked. Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Joel Pearl. How are you? It's a beautiful Saturday. It's a beautiful Saturday in Ohio. Every day is a beautiful day in Ohio. That's a complete lie.
Is it true that Cleveland still rocks?
I don't know. I don't live in Cleveland, so I have no idea what Cleveland's like.
Oh, good point. I don't live in Cleveland either. But I do have 5 news stories that Jeremy wrote for the week that may have gone past your news feed, or maybe they just stuck around. Either way, let's take a look at them. You want to talk about the week? Do you want to start this thing with anything, or can we jump right in?
Jump right in, Joel. What? Let's go, Joel Pearl. What is wrong with you today? It doesn't seem like it's a beautiful Saturday in the Joel Pearl household.
No, I'm off my game, and I have been somewhat sick for the last 4 days, so I am ready to just crawl into a hole. Let's go. Number 5, Mercedes Varnado, formerly Sasha Banks, discusses filming her movie and launching a makeup line. Mercedes appeared on Bailey's Instagram live show this past week. It was a charity stream to benefit the Family Giving Tree. This is an annual thing that Bailey's been doing, but having Sasha on, or Mercedes as she's known now, was a pretty big deal. It got everyone out and watching. So talk to me. What popped about this whole thing to you?
Bailey and Sasha, clearly really good friends. They have a lot of fun together on the stream. It was cool to see them reunited. When this got announced, I was like, oh, gonna have to tune into this. I didn't expect her to break any news of like, I'm going to be at New Japan. I'm going to do this, and this. She didn't really say too much about like wrestling. She kind of hinted around some stuff. Indy Hartwell was also on there. Roxanne Perez was also on there. Like at the time when Mercedes was on there, Big E was on there, but not at the same time as Mercedes. So it was a fun little charity stream that Bailey did. And, when it's a 2.5 hour stream, my thing is always got to pull something out of this. And I pulled her talking about the makeup line and talking about the movie, which is, I feel like a pretty big deal that she was able to do the movie. She's obviously been in the news a lot. I also wrote the story about her reflecting on training in Mexico, which would seem like she had fun down there and getting called El Stupido by Skyda and everything. So it was a fun little stream, I guess. And the main thing this is newsworthy is because like Mercedes is just in the news, and she has a lot of ventures outside of wrestling. I know she's in the news a lot for wrestling, but she was talking about her CBD line, to get makeup line, filming a movie, fashion week. She's big into music and everything. She has a lot going on outside of the world of wrestling.
You would say she's booked and busy.
Yes, sure.
And of course she's big into music. Did you not know that her cousin is Snoop Dogg?
I've heard that rumor before. And
did you know that Snoop Dogg found Lil Bow Wow, and that Lil Bow Wow is currently in a blood feud in AEW with one TBS champion Jade Cargill?
They got like dropped. They haven't mentioned that in like
they have not done shit.
That has just gone silent. Which okay, fine. That feud does not interest me at all. Like that seems very stupid, but whatever.
If it somehow turns out that the Mercedes plan, and she does come into AEW for however long, for a long time, if it actually does turn out that the original plan was a Jade Cargill spot and it was to take on with the little Bow Wow thing, and then someone figured it out and the internet was just like, oh, that's stupid, and TK was like, oh, okay, we're not doing that then. If that's the way that it plays out, I'm going to take a victory lap and then I'm going to laugh very hard at the end.
The Saraya mystery partner thing is a lot better of a reveal than this Bow Wow thing, which has been, I've had no interest from the start since they started this whole thing on Twitter and whatnot. Bow Wow, a lot of bot followers, I feel like, because this man's got like 3 million followers and gets no engagement.
It's my favorite type of following. No engagement, but I got them numbers, baby.
Yeah, just none. I was stunned when I saw like this man announced his tour and got like less than 1,000 likes. You got like millions of followers. It's a tour announcement. How do you have less than 1,000 likes on this?
They're all his Instagram followers. That's where you got to look them up.
I guess so. I guess.
It's where the kids are these days. They're not on Twitter. They're not on Elon's private jet. Oh, I just got blocked.
Oh, good job. You don't need to be on Twitter anyway.
No one needs to be on Twitter. Just leave. Just get off Twitter. It's not worth it. It's useless. You know what's not useless? Leaving a thumbs up on this video. That's not useless. Maybe subscribe to the channel. That'd be worthwhile. Let's move on to number 4. Kathy Kelly says, Stephanie McMahon asked if I wanted to be a writer and offered commentary training. This came across my newsfeed, and the first thing I thought of was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Stephanie McMahon tries to offer a lot more opportunities for women, which is I mean, it's excellent. It's something that's helpful. And Kathy Kelly as a writer or commentator, I mean, seems like a way to go. But what do you think of this? She was speaking to Christian Harloff on his podcast, The Big Thing.
I was very excited when Kathy Kelly returned to WWE. I always liked Kathy Kelly. I always thought she did a really good job and everything. And she left during the pandemic and whatnot, and seemed like she had goals in mind. And then the pandemic kind of halted those goals a little bit. But I just thought she was very versatile for WWE and probably could have done more and should have done more. And I know Triple H was always a fan and everything. And I know there's the rumor of they brought back Kathy because they missed out on Renee. I don't care. Kathy Kelly's back. That's all I care about. So to hear, she was like, Stephanie offered me this. She asked if I want to be a writer because Kathy has written a movie. She said has worked on some scripts. She asked if I want to do commentary training. She asked if I want to do other stuff. It was basically do I want to be Raw, Smack? What do you want to do? And Kathy's like, well, this is what I want to do. And then that is what she's doing now. She's doing backstage stuff for Raw and SmackDown. I just thought it was interesting that she got offered these other spots, and it wasn't just a thing of we're bringing you back. You're just going to do the same role that you've always done. It was more of a discussion than that. And they really seem to like Kathy Kelly, and Kathy Kelly always seemed to have a good relationship with them. It's a nice little partnership between the two. And a lot of stuff that I don't know if the Big Thing sent quotes to other sites, but I read quotes from this, and it was just here's how the discussions came about. And I didn't read this part from all the other sites where I originally saw these quotes. So this is a lesson. Jeremy's news tips. Wow. Listen to everything yourself, everybody. Whatever other people run, cool. You don't know if they're sent quotes. You don't know if they got it from another site because sites are bad at sourcing and things like that. This is why I always say, listen to stuff for yourself, because there might be more to the story. Get the context for yourself than just go with what somebody else says. And there are certainly reputable people that you can all right, take their quotes, again, properly sourced. I think we do a good job. Andrew Thompson is the GOAT. So there's reputable places that you can be yeah, this is good. You can use their stuff. But I even when it comes to somebody like Andrew, I always oh, that's good. Let me listen for myself and just double check, see if there might be something else that he didn't run first or that I can add further context to.
So in a perfect world, Kathy Kelly's back. She decides to be a commentator. You can replace her. You could place her on any commentary team, removing one person from a current commentator position. You cannot take Booker T off of NXT because that's too obvious. So who do you remove to replace Kathy Kelly in?
I don't know if I don't view her as a commentator, and I'm not saying she wouldn't be good.
Let's say she successfully completed the commentator. Let's say she was a good commentator. Turns out that, oh my God, she's worth it. Who would you replace right now? Who's not Booker T?
Okay. Well, that leaves it's either Wade Barrett, Michael Cole, and I like them as a duo. So is she going to do play-by-play? It feels like she's more of a color person.
I think she'd be more of a color person.
Yeah. I don't mind Graves. I know a lot of people don't seem to like him, but I don't mind. I think he adds to the broadcast in some aspects. And Kevin Patrick is just whatever to me. So I don't feel like there are that many great options, honestly. I feel like that's a terrible answer, but you're taking out Booker T and you're leaving me with Barrett and Corey Graves, and I don't mind either of those two. So
maybe she is good at play by play. Maybe she replaces Vic Joseph, and you got Vic Joseph and Booker T on commentary every Tuesday.
that's fine. I'd replace her with Kevin Patrick then.
Okay.
Or I'd replace Kevin Patrick with her then.
All right. Hey, listen, just spitballing. If you know in the comments who you want, then let us know. But remember, cannot be Booker T because he has an ironclad contract, which in WWE means ironclad forever.
Booker rules. Booker's great. I don't care what anybody says. He's fantastic.
Number 3, Ricky Stark says it would have been great to have a match with CM Punk. I was always able to talk to him. Ricky Starks had an interview with DAZN, had plenty to say about CM Punk and a whole lot more leading into his match with MJF at Winter is Coming this past Wednesday. Match was a lot of fun, and the interview is even more fun. Jeremy, why are we talking about DAZN and Ricky Starks' interview?
I mean, Ricky's great, and he did a lot of media leading up to Winter is Coming, and he was asked about. It wasn't like directly asked about Punk. He was asked more about like momentum, and the Punk promo was referenced, and then Ricky came to that, and then it kind of became into Punk. I feel like with this one is one, there's a lot of CM Punk stuff out there, and most of it is negative, and you don't hear a lot of the positive, and then when it comes to the positive, it's largely FTR, and obviously they have a good relationship with him, and we're on television with him. So it's like, oh, of course they're backing Punk and everything. Ricky is a guy who, doesn't really have any skin in that game. He doesn't have a reason to put Punk over or to bury him. So he's just speaking his truth of like, yeah, Punk was great with me. He gave me advice. I wish I did a match with him. I was annoyed that we didn't end up working a match. He could very easily avoid the topic, or he could very easily disparage him like, other people have or whatever. But he said kind things about Punk, and there just aren't a lot of kind stories out there about CM Punk nowadays. So hearing it from a guy who was on the main event of the last show is a little refreshing. That is like, oh, maybe, there was some good stuff with CM Punk backstage. It wasn't universally hated like the perception is that's out there. It's like, oh, well, only FTR like this guy. Like, oh, Ricky Stark seemed to like this guy. So good on Ricky for answering the question, elaborating on it, and saying what he had to say about CM Punk.
He should work with Sting again.
It seemed like he wanted to work with Sting again.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so he should.
I'd be down for
beat
that.
Sting.
Well, let's move on. Get to number 2. Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero tried to do Eddie Guerrero's lowrider entrance for years. Nyla Rose was on the Vicky Guerrero podcast, which hilarious. I've known about this podcast for so long. I haven't listened to it yet because every time I think about it, I just think it's Vicky for a straight hour yelling "excuse me" into a microphone. And I know it's not. And I hear that it's actually quite an entertaining listen, but her and Nyla must be actually a hoot of an interview.
It was, and they like did a little kayfabe, non-kayfabe, because they talk about like the Full Gear match, and they're like, Vicky, it cost me this. Marina caught, like, where were you guys? The baddies interfered, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. So like on that part, they just kayfabed a little bit. It's like, whatever. Vicky is fun. Like, her podcast is fine. I don't like the intro because it's very loud and it does like yell at you, and then it comes down, and I'm just like, oh my God. And if I forget to like turn my headphones down, I'm just like, oh shit, blow my ears out. But like, Vicky's a fine interviewer. She has a good relationship with a lot of people, and sometimes she doesn't like always know the full backstory. So sometimes you do just get like the cliche, like, how'd you get into wrestling? Like, tell me about this. And like, I've heard this story a million times because I listened to 3 million interviews. But if you haven't heard these stories, then they're fresh for those people. But Nyla, obviously, she's had a very long-standing relationship with Nyla. They hang out a lot at AEW, and to hear them talk about the lowrider entrance of, that was a big thing at Full Gear. Her coming out, doing that in the lowrider with the Eddie Guerrero tribute and everything, and to hear them say like, yeah, we wanted to do this for years. And Nyla, she's had pay-per-view matches. I mean, she was the champion at one point, but I don't know if it ever would have worked like it did on this, especially because the whole build-up was her stealing the TBS title and everything. So doing the Eddie Guerrero tribute like was very fitting for that. But it was, you know, interesting to hear that they had been pitching that for a few years now, and they finally got the clearance to do it. And you know, Nyla clearly a big fan of Eddie, clearly has a lot of respect for Vicky. Vicky has a lot of respect for Nyla, obviously the widow of Eddie. I do wish that they had talked about Vicky wearing the Rhea shirt and if she had to get that approved or anything, but they didn't touch on that at all. But I wish they had kind of just brought that up, because that was a big part of the story as well, of like, oh wait, she's wearing a Rhea Ripley t-shirt out here. So I would like to know Vicky's thoughts on what's going on with that, with Dominic and with Rhea. Clearly she likes it to some extent if she's out there supporting it with Rhea's shirt, but I would really like to hear her thoughts on that and just what she thinks. I think Vicky is very she's very, I would say, kind with everything. Like she seems to just enjoy a lot, just being part of the business, enjoying pro wrestling and stuff, which is good. You know, there's a lot of stories. It's just like, this sucks and everything. But Vicky seems to be and Vicky could have every right of like, you know, look what happened to my husband and what the business like did to him. But she seems to just be very appreciative of wrestling and still being involved, and her son being involved in the business. I guess Dominic is not her son. I keep thinking he is, but that's not actually true. But yes, her
no,
friend.
It's true. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
There's a whole article.
I forgot who won that match. My bad. Yeah,
that's right. Vicky is absolutely Dominic's mother.
Yes.
We know this. I really like in the podcast where she's talking about how she got teary-eyed when they did the practice for the intro. And she just felt all the emotion of Eddie, and thinking about how he must have felt every night doing the intro with the lowrider gimmick. I thought that was really heartwarming. And yeah, like you mentioned, the I'm Your Mommy shirt, wearing the Rhea Ripley WWE branded t-shirt. You don't see it, you don't know it. It's one of those things, if you know, you know. But to get her thoughts and her comments on having done that, that'd be something interesting to hear. So Tony Khan, I know you watch this show religiously. If you wouldn't mind passing this clip on to one Vicky Guerrero and getting her thoughts on her next podcast.
Tony Khan ignores all requests involving t-shirts when it comes to this show.
It's a good point, actually. He really does. Where's Jeremy's t-shirt? Where's the t-shirt? Get in the t-shirt. Where's the t-shirt? Let's move on to number one. This one's actually, I like this. This is very interesting. Smoke Dizza hopes Solo Sikoa was sent by The Rock, leading to The Rock's return. Smoke Dizza was speaking with Rosenberg Radio, because of course he was speaking with Rosenberg on Cheap Heat, because Rosenberg has this very interesting and very strange cross section of wrestling and hip hop, rap, whatever you want to call it. Smoke Dizza on the show. I know this was bread and butter for you.
So I know Smoke Dizza. I know he's big involved in wrestling and everything, and I've put over Rosenberg on the show. I think he's like a fine interviewer. His takes I could live without, but like as an interview person, like I think he's good. But yeah, Smoke Dizza was on the show, and like I wasn't expecting too much out of this, but I like to try to do crossover stuff whenever I can, if it's possible. And there wasn't a whole lot to this. Like he just kind of gives thoughts on the current landscape of wrestling. Yeah, I like this. I don't like this. It's like, okay. Like I don't like running too much opinion stuff when it comes to like outside people, largely because I feel like just everyone has an opinion, and I'm not saying this in a disparaging way. And I mean this, it's not just with rappers, basketball players, anybody on the outside world. This goes for people who have been in the business. Eric Bischoff, Ric Flair. I don't put much stock into their opinion. Like if Eric Bischoff says, I don't like CM Punk, he's a bad wrestler, cool. Like that's just your opinion, man. Like I don't feel the need to get an article out of that. So I didn't feel the need to get an article of Smoke doesn't like this, he doesn't like this. What I didn't feel the need to get an article out of was him kind of fantasy booking a little bit, because I'm a big fan of the fantasy booking. I think a lot of people like the fantasy booking. And maybe I'm incorrect in this, but I had not really seen the Solo Sikoa Rock connection of Solo Sikoa is there and this is going to lead to The Rock. I've not heard that like brought up by anybody. So I thought it was a little interesting point that could maybe get people talking of like, oh, that's a new idea that's being presented that's out there. So, and like I always say, if you're going to listen to like an hour-long podcast like this is, like just pull something, make it worthwhile. And this was the most interesting thing I could pull. And it was because I did find it, I found it new. I found it a little fresh, and, good on Smoke Dizza for coming up with that, if that was, his original idea, or if he stole it and just, enhanced it.
So it's funny that you say that. I have heard that idea through other wrestling websites. And it's usually,
I don't listen to that stuff though. So
no, I know. Yeah. And for me, it's like, you get a pat on the head and that's a nice idea. That seems to be the going answer to Solo Sikoa was brought in by The Rock. It's not a bad idea. I just think it's a wrinkle to a story that doesn't need the wrinkle. It's an extra wrinkle that doesn't really add to it. But we're not here to talk about storylines and ideas. But Smoke Does actually coming in and having stuff to say about current day storyline and actually like creative ideas. I think that's more interesting than like, yeah, I like this wrestler and that wrestler, and I want to get in the ring, because every rapper seems to want to get in the ring and be aggressive with somebody, and I don't get it. But
I don't even think he was asked about any of like getting in the ring type of thing. Yeah, Rosenberg.
No, but most of them make it a point to just say, I want to get in the ring and beat somebody. It's like, but why? You don't have any training. Why do you want to just beat somebody up? What is this shit?
He seems to have like a lot of respect for wrestling. He's clearly been around it, been to shows and everything. And Rosenberg seems to have a long-standing relationship with Smoke Dizza as well. So it was very free-flowing, and just like, it sounded like just two dudes chatting about wrestling that like on their off time and then they recorded it. And a lot of times those are like cool conversations and everything. I listened to this and didn't really expect to get a ton out of it. But I figured not many people are really going to cover it. Maybe there's a little hidden gem in there or something. And we're always looking for like crossover stuff. I'm a person who covered, who was it? The G Unit guy. Tony Yayo with the You Can't See Me.
You Can't See Me. Yeah, that was a great story too.
Yeah, so like crossover stuff is always good, because I don't think a lot of people are like fully looking for that. So I haven't heard the Solo Sikoa thing, so that was new information to me. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, listen, not everyone listens to every single piece of wrestling audio that's out there, or video for that matter. So I always say there's no new idea in wrestling. There's just people discovering different concepts.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, people are stumbling upon this video every week, so go ahead and leave a thumbs up and subscribe to us here on the Fightful Overbooked channel. Jeremy, let's get out of here and enjoy our weekend. What do you want to pitch before we go?
I don't know. Was that all of them? I thought, are we missing one?
No, we got through all of them.
Oh, I don't know. Do
you want to add one? Is there an honorable mention?
I don't think so. I don't remember what I covered. I feel like I had a down week when it comes to coverage. So yeah, that's okay.
It's the holiday season, Jeremy. It's okay. It's okay to be a little light.
I guess so. It's been a long week. Joel Farrell.
I hear you.
No, I don't have it. Don't follow me on Twitter. Follow Steven Jensen on Twitter @FightTalk_. Watch. You know what? I will give shout outs to people. Sean Ross Sapp, that jerk. He tweeted this last night. Like, we do a lot of interviews now on Fightful. Sean's got a bunch of interviews. He did one with Jay White that got a lot of attention and everything. Yeah. And I did all the transcription work for that. Grapsody, Will Washington, Righteous Reg, Phil Lindsay. They've been doing a lot of interviews. They did one with Will Nightingale that's up now on Fightful. I did all the transcription work for that. Danny Limelight, all that. And then myself and Steven Jensen, we just had Dan the Dad on Thursday. And so I feel like I've had less free time to seek out, find other interviews and everything, because I've been working so hard on the interviews Fightful is getting. And this is not a complaint at all. I love that we are able to get so much exclusive content and so many interviews from just a variety of people. Jay White's the IWGP World's Heavyweight Champion. Like that's big time right there.
Yeah,
Willow just signed to AEW, and then Dan the Dad kind of went viral off of AEW, and one of the, kind of a well-known independent name. So we kind of cover our bases at all levels here. And Sean just interviewed Carmelo Hayes as well. So like we try to cover it at all levels. And, whether you're super plugged into wrestling and independent wrestling and you follow everything, you are like Steven Jensen and you watch every outlet, that cool, we got you covered with people that you kind of know, or you only watch the top stuff like AEW, WWE, New Japan. We got that too. And hopefully you discover some of these independent guys that you maybe haven't heard of through our website. So I just want to give a shout out to the Fightful team, because we're doing a lot of interview work and, trying to give you guys our own newsworthy stories for other websites out there. So yeah, shout out to everybody at Fightful, and shout out to myself for doing all the transcriptions.
I'll have some more interviews for you after this weekend.
Fuck.
It's another Greek Town weekend, so there you go.
Yeah, I know that. I saw you and Tim did the preview. So
yes,
yes, everyone watch that.
I
do look forward to whatever you have to send me, and creating more work for myself. And it's high time I ask for another raise.
Buddy, you and me both. You and me both. Fightful Overbooked, come and subscribe to us here. We drop content every single day. We have some great shows from personalities that you should be hearing from, coexisting with Rob and Maggie. You've got Tag Talk with Kylie and Haley. You've got, who else? I mean, Tim and I do a show, but no one wants to listen to that. I get it. Who am I missing? I mean, you and SP3, nobody wants to listen to that. That's a non-wrestling show.
Yeah, that's the best show we do on this channel, because we're signing up our pal Shared Delaware for dating websites.
That's true.
And stuff.
That is a good one. Yeah, that's true.
It's the best thing we do.
Just subscribe to us here at the channel. There's plenty going on. I am at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.